Welcome to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM, episode 22, episode number 1, boys, of 2024. All things Mississauga Steelheads and the OHL. Zach Bodenstein, Brendan Lang, Mike Karafalides. Guys, I mean, we've been talking off air a lot, but let's check in with one another. Mr. Brendan Lang, how's everything going, sir? You're clean shaven. I like to see it. You look a little bit younger, sir.
Yeah, that's right. When I was at the past game against the London Knights, a kid told me good game. So obviously I'm looking a little bit younger, thinking that I'm still playing. But yeah, you know, it's been a while since we've talked on the air. We've gone through the entire holidays, New Year's. You mentioned first episode of 2024. So you know, starting out the year, just thought I'd kind of start things out fresh, get everything back in 2023. We're looking ahead to 2024. So everything's going well so far. Back to work, and kind of that's all that's been going on with me.
Mikey K is excited for the NFL playoffs. If you can't see, he's decked out in his Cleveland Browns gear. So how you feeling about that game coming up?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm probably never going to see this again, to be honest with you, because the Browns are in the playoffs for the first time in my life since, you know, I don't remember since I was a little kid. But anyways, very, very little. Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. It was a great year this year for the Cleveland Browns, and I got my hard hat on, if anybody can't see. And that's a thing, like, you know, time to get to work. That's, you know, because me and my buddies, we have a thing. We go down every year. We all have a hard hats, right? We're all Browns fans, 4 of us. And we have just a little joke, you know, time to get to work with the chisel, right? So we bought all our Cleveland Browns helmets. So anyway, it's kind of cool. Yeah, no, great Christmas, great New Year's, all that kind of stuff. Great holidays. Good to be back, boys. And hopefully for a great second half for the Steelheads. And it was nice to be with family. And that was number one for me, of course. And back to the grind. And here we go.
Who's on the jersey? Is that Nick Chubb?
That is Nicholas Chubb. Yes.
Mike.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask, where did the Browns fandom start? Because, you know, like, you have a lot of Bills fans here because they're close. Like, why the Browns?
I love this question. I don't know how many times I've answered this question, but I'm going to do it one more time just for you. Okay, one more time. All right, so I was just a football fan back in the day, okay? Back in the day, I was just a football fan. Now, my brother-in-law is a huge Browns fan, and this is when he was just dating my sister at the time, okay? So anyways, so he calls me up one night, or one day actually, and he says, hey, look, he goes, because he has season tickets for the Browns. So he calls me up, he goes, I got 4 tickets. You want to go down to Cleveland, take your buddies. And we're talking a long time ago. I said, okay, hold on, you know, let me call my friends, you know, let me see what's going on. I called them, we went down, fell in love with the city, fell in love with the tailgate. We stayed there for the weekend, and the rest is history. That's it. So here we are today. Hopefully a deep playoff run. I'm really, you know, hopefully Mr. Joe Flacco can do some magic and the defense can do well. So that's it, man. That's how she goes. Either she goes or she doesn't go, and she hopefully she goes. So.
It's been fun to watch the Cleveland Browns this year. So
yeah, no, it really has.
Trying to wish Mikey all that luck that my Texas Rangers had in the postseason.
Right.
That's right. Because you wore your stuff when Texas was on, and they did well. So let's see. Hopefully, you know, we can have some luck this way, right?
Mikey, I'll say if I'm a Bills fan, so obviously I'm going to be cheering for Buffalo. But if the Bills aren't to make the Super Bowl, I would love for it to be Detroit, Cleveland. I think that would be the best Super Bowl matchup.
Can you imagine?
That would be amazing.
Oh my goodness, the fandom, so many Browns and Detroit fans. It's the cities are very, very close to each other as well, and over the border you got the Detroit fans. You know, there's a lot of Browns fans out there. I'll tell you that right now. People say, "Oh, you're the only Browns fan out there that I know." No, there's a lot of Browns fans out there, and so just to let everybody know. That's right. So I'll tell all my Cleveland Browns brothers and sisters out there, go Browns. Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
To go to work.
2 starving fan bases. Like, again, I'm biased because the Rangers just won their first chip, but I always love when a team or a franchise that hasn't won anything yet or hasn't won anything in a while, kind of like that, Brendan, when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, like, I had no horse in that race, but I was so happy for them. So it's always good to see long droughts being broken.
Yeah, 100%.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So,
I do too. I really hope so as well. And even the Bills, that'll be a long drought as well. So I'm going to throw that out there too. They haven't won in a long time either.
they've
They
been in
lost
a
4
Super
straight
Bowl
Super.
enough.
Yeah, but they lost 4 in a row.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They've been there too many
right.
times.
Yeah, you're right.
You
They
only get a
have.
certain amount of
Yeah,
times. This might be the only time I see this for my life.
maybe.
So maybe it might be one.
Maybe,
What do I
maybe.
what do I always say? I always say live in the moment, right? I remember one time I was having Mikey, I was having a bad day last year, and I came to the game, and I was a little bit stressed out before the game, and you just put your arm over my shoulder, and you said, just soak it in, man. Enjoy it. This is your therapy, and that resonated with me, and just got to live in the moment, boys. So
That's it, Ben. That's it. That's the way she goes.
Yeah.
It's therapy. It definitely is therapy to be at the rink.
All right, we got a few minutes here before we bring our guest in, so let's talk about the newest news here with the Mississauga Steelheads, and some that's bittersweet, obviously, in this business of the trade deadline, guys coming in and out. The Steelheads make a move. They trade Xander Vecchia away to the Guelph Storm, the second deal that they've made with the Guelph Storm this year involving forwards. So, Mikey, let's get your take on this. They did get, quite a haul back in terms of draft picks, but it always sucks to see, number one, a good person like Xander go, but also a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he what can you say about Xander Vecchia? Heart of gold. I mean, he just hustled his way every game up and down the ice, put up the points. Congratulations to him on 50 career assists this year in the OHL. Just a great 200-foot player. Did the job, what he was asked of him. A lot was put on the table to get him. So, I mean, this is a kind of trade maybe, we can get to other trades later, but this is the kind of trade maybe you say, well, how can you resist, right? How can you say no? So they lose a goal scorer. Xander Vecchia did his job. He was an amazing kid, great person, as you said, Zach, great player, everything, all the above. Now, what do you do now if you're James Richmond? Tough shoes to fill. You got to fill those points, right? So it'd be interesting to see what they do now.
Yeah, I mean, kind of just echoing exactly what Mikey said. It is tough, obviously, this side of the game to see somebody like Xander go, and we kind of knew the family a little bit as well. They were out at every game too, driving from Chatham, I think it was, coming to all the games in Mississauga, going to the road games as well. So we're gonna miss seeing them around the rink as well, and obviously seeing Xander around the rink too. And then from the hockey point of view, like you just kind of mentioned there, Mike, he really did everything that the Steelheads asked of him. Like, I mean, when you needed some offensive thump, he was there. He played hard. He was gritty. He played in defensive zone really well as well. And he was just kind of that guy that fit into the James Richmond system. We see that. We talk about that all the time, but he was really kind of the heartbeat of that, fitting into that system. So definitely tough for him to go. And like you just mentioned too, it's pretty big shoes to fill, not just off the ice and the leadership and everything, but the point production as well. So, I mean, there's possibly going to be something else coming up there.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. I mean, he's an all situations guy. He did everything. He scored, but he was relied on the penalty kill. PP1, PP2, line 1, line 2, it didn't really matter. He was kind of doing it all. And to see the progression that Xander made, I saw him as a 16-year-old come into this league. He was more of a high energy guy that could be relied upon in a bottom six role. And then he embraced the penalty kill role. He really took it to the next level, as we always talk about on this show. Around a year ago today, actually, is when Xander really started to find his way in the OHL. More reps, more ice time, more opportunity. Same thing with Luke Misa. So Xander really took off. We wish him all the best with the Guelph Storm. A boatload of trades across the OHL. I mean, like we were talking, Mikey, about how we could have a whole episode just talking about each deal. But Xander's the one, obviously, because this is a Steelhead show, but he's a great player and a great person. But on the other side, we have about a minute here. Let's get your quick thoughts on the newest Mississauga Steelhead overager, Dean Loukus.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm just laughing at my son over here. Excuse me. Anyways, what can you say about the guy? I mean, overager, comes over from the Saginaw Spirit, heart and soul kind of guy, fits into the system as well with James Richmond. Don't forget who was his coach in Saginaw, Chris Lazary, right?
Yep.
He coached him. Same kind of coach, same kind of system as James Richmond. Those two, very, very alike. The guy plays, like I said, great 200-foot game. He's a heart and soul kind of guy. and he's a leader out there. And I think he fits in very, very nicely with this team, and he has so far. I mean, he's had great chances. He's played with Mark Boudreau on the same line with Mark Boudreau so far. How would you like to play with a same a 20-year-old on the same line, right? And those two seem to be clicking. So it's nice to see. And I like this deal a lot. I think Dean is going to really, really help this team down the stretch.
And you mentioned him playing with Mark Boudreau, also Jack Van Volsen in the middle, who's playing really well recently too. So that line was really clicking there. In his first game, he picks up an assist, threw the puck towards the net. So I mean, it's good to get a couple of points on the board. I got to talk to him at the intermission there just briefly in his first Steelheads game, and I think that's kind of something that he had mentioned too, where it's like, you know, it's a very young team and they are mature for their age, but also you need these guys like Boudreau, like Dean Loukus, like Chaz Sharp, of course, who's the captain to really lead as the overage players. So I think he fits in perfectly in this system, as you just mentioned too, Mikey.
And considering the price they gave up for the quality of player they got, I mean, you swap him and Vetch out for one another. They play the same position. They play a similar game, but you get a guy a year older, of course, for this season, and you pay a lot less than you got for Vecchia. So that is the really the biggest Steelhead transition that we're looking at right now. It's Vecchia out, Loukus in, and we will talk to Dean Loukus on the other side of this break. Spoiler alert, you're listening to Trout Talk here on Sauga 960 AM. Welcome back to Trout Talk, all things Mississauga Steelheads here on Sauga 960 AM, or if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Zach Bodenstein, Brennan Lang, Mike Karafalides, and the newest Mississauga Steelhead, who I'm meeting for the first time right now, Dean Loukus. He's got the Steelheads apparel on right now. And Dean, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Mikey's got a question to kick it off first.
I think he's disgusted, first of all, that I'm wearing Cleveland Brown stuff, but that's the way she goes.
Yeah, that's tough luck.
All right, Dean, let's start it off, man. First, I want to say welcome. You know, I saw you, whatever said welcome to you, when you came on the bus. So now this is a formal welcome. Welcome to Mississauga, my man, and you're fitting in quite nicely. I just have a couple of questions for you. A couple of questions to start it off. First one, proper pronunciation of your last name.
Loukus.
There it is, boys. There it is. So when you hear Loukus on TV, what do you think?
It's pretty common, so I don't think
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there we go. So the proper pronunciation is Loukus, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So next question. This is impressive. Your story is actually really impressive. So you were the third to last pick in your draft year. How does it feel now to accomplish what you've accomplished, my man?
It's pretty special. I mean, I guess I'm from a place that you don't get really looked at by the OHL, so it's like the third to last pick isn't really I guess it doesn't really mean all that much to me. So, yeah, that's part of that. But what I've accomplished has been pretty special for me and my family. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, we love to watch you, Dean, in Saginaw, the few times that we saw you in person here, but obviously on TV. Let's talk about how you're fitting into Mississauga so far, though. It's been, less than a week. It's only been a few days, but you have a couple games under your belt. Now talk to me about the lifestyle, the system. How are you fitting in?
It's been good. It was a pretty quick turnaround from when I heard and when I was here, and got right into 2 games, which I think it was probably good just to get games under the belt and just get right into the system and get a feel for how the guys are and the room is, and moved into new billets and everything like that. So everything's been smooth so far. So yeah, it's been good.
And kind of along that same theme, I mean, of course, you're from Michigan. You get drafted by Saginaw. You play there for the first 3 years there, and now you get traded to Mississauga. So obviously you've been in Canada a lot playing in the OHL, but your first time living outside of the US. So what's that kind of been like?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird adjustment, just whether it's the kilometers thing or money thing or whatever it is. But yeah, it's
more the money thing,
weird adjustment, but it's been good.
More the money thing. That's why I'm kind of laughing. All right. So, you know what, Dean, I mean, you were named Michigan high school hockey's top player. Pretty cool. So talk to me about that experience and talk to me about that.
High school is actually pretty cool. I just got to play 4 years with my buddies. I mean, brothers and cousins mixed into my teams that I was fortunate to play with. So it was a cool experience just to play all those 4 years at home in front of home, family and friends and everything. So it's pretty exciting. I guess you don't really hear of Michigan high school hockey all that much, but it's actually pretty cool, and like fans and stuff that we get, it's all pretty awesome.
I'm curious because everybody always talks about this Little Caesars team. Did you get a chance to play against them at all?
No, so that's like a AAA team, so we don't play AAA or anything like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of on your number, you're coming over wearing number 12. You wore that the whole time you were with Saginaw as well. So is there any kind of meaning behind that?
Not really. I mean, birthday on the 12th, and that's pretty much it.
Plain and simple. I like that.
Yeah.
Birthday's on the 18th. I wear 18. That's it. Anyway, no, but Dean, you are one of 10 brothers and sisters. Is that correct?
Yep.
Holy
so maybe there's a 12 in there too.
What? 12?
Well, just with my parents, there's 12 total.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I thought, all right, so 10. So what do you got? 5 and 5? What is
nope.
it? 5,
it's 8-2, boys to girls. So.
Oh my goodness!
And what are the ages in that? Just curious.
From 5 to 22. There's 10 of us. So.
That's awesome. So talk to me about family gatherings, growing up with a big family. Do you guys fight over the last piece of pizza or what?
We fight about just about everything.
The stuffing?
So, yeah. Well, growing up, there was a lot of fights, but family gatherings are awesome. We have a bunch of cousins and everything in, so they're always exciting.
How many? Like 100?
Mikey, imagine your grocery bill times 3. No, sorry, times 4 because there's 3 of you.
Man, no, I just got one boy right now, so I'm just saying. So my grocery bill for him's too much on junk. That means 5 years old, right? But anyways, wow, Dean. Woo. So what do you got? 100 people that come to your family gatherings or what?
Like 60, 70 probably.
I want to come to your house. That's it. That's my kind of family gathering.
Yeah, you know they're eating well. 100%.
Yes. Oh, that's great. Good for you, man. Good for you.
So, Dean, you've got a framed jersey on the wall there. Who's that jersey of?
I actually don't know. This is the billet house. I haven't asked too many questions.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
We're going to take a guess on that one. Let's say that's...
I'll give you a better look.
There we go. Number 3.
Okay. That looks like... guys.
Like Justin Hall? I don't know.
Justin Hall. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has his jersey in there.
Hey, yeah, you might be right.
Hey, yeah, could be. Could be.
I don't know.
Are you staying with any of the other players with your billet, or are you just by yourself there?
No, players they've billeted before, but yeah, nobody's here with me yet. So.
Have you who have you been like closest to? Obviously, you're one of 3 overagers on the team, but who have you really had the closest connection to so far?
There's a pretty good group of guys, like the older guys with us. So like the Marks and the like Sharpie and like those guys those are nice guys that are easy to get along with. And then like I knew Misa, and then there's like his brother. So Luke and Mike, those are both good guys. So it was easy to connect with them. I had met Finn Harding before at Detroit's camp, so it was an easy connection there too. So yeah, there's a good group of older guys there, and it was pretty smooth transition anyways.
Dean, you played for Chris Lazary. Now you're playing for James Richmond. Same kind of systems. If you ask me, talk to me about the system. Same?
It's a little different, but same like pressure-based systems, which is pretty cool.
So you're talking about the systems. Now you've got some time to kind of get in some practices. Of course, you're going to play a couple here midweek games, but just what's kind of been the focus of the practice for you trying to get acclimated?
Just like they run like a little bit of different neutral zone than what we ran, and like just getting comfortable with that, and like different, like just little tweaks like face-off plays and stuff like that is just like getting used to those is probably my biggest focus right now.
Well, you look like you've meshed in pretty quickly, especially with Mark Boudreau and Jack Van Volsen. I know Booty's probably like got your spirits so high because he's always surfing. He's making everybody laugh. So you mentioned he was one of the guys that you kind of came close to right away since the trade. Talk to me about your relationship with Mark Boudreau.
Oh, he's an awesome guy, and it's easy to feed off him. So, heart and soul type of guy of this team. And yeah, he plays with an edge, and it's kind of easy just to follow along with that.
So are you a Detroit Lions fan?
Yeah.
Okay. We were just talking.
We were just actually talking about that before you came on, and I'm a Bills fan, but I was saying if the Bills weren't to get there, I mean, obviously it doesn't affect the Lions, but Mikey being a Cleveland fan, if the Bills weren't to get a Super Bowl, I would love to see a Cleveland-Detroit Super Bowl. I think that would be the absolute best. You get two fan bases that have been starved for a while, a good rivalry. I think that would be a perfect matchup.
Dude, don't tell me you hate the Browns either.
I don't hate them. We've both been struggling the last however many years. So
200 years, yeah.
Well, at least 100, 200, 300. As long as we've been in existence. Yeah. Anyway, this is great to see both teams together and playing in the playoffs and stuff. And can you imagine a Lions Browns Super Bowl? How good, how amazing would that be? I would pay $1 million. No, I don't have $1 million. I would pay $1,000 for a ticket. I would, but $1,000 would be the most I pay. I'd probably be outside watching the game on the big screen with $1,000.
Yeah, you're not getting into the bowl for $1,000.
No. I'd still watch it outside though. Hey, why not?
Oh, for
no,
sure.
Actually, no, I wouldn't. No.
So what do you?
Yes, I would.
What do you think about the Lions though? You think they really got a shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got their offensive scheme, I think, is the most dynamic, well-rounded. So
is that so? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, not bad. Jared Goff, you think Jared Goff, he could turn it on in playoffs?
Yeah, I think he's shown it this year in Sparks. So yeah,
in Sparks.
Is Laporta healthy? Like, what happened to him? Is he out?
He'll be back.
Okay,
he's so good. He's so good.
They need him back. So this episode's going to air right before the game against the Sarnia Sting. You're coming from the Western Conference. I know that's the team that's kind of retooling, rebuilding. What can you tell us about Sarnia? Because we don't get to see them much here in the East.
They got a couple good young kids that we were playing against, and like a Lucas Fisher on the back end, he's real solid. And I feel like they always gave us good games for some reason in Saginaw, even when we were I guess we were supposed to just dominate them, and they still gave us good games. We kind of struggled with them, but yeah, there seems like a team that would just kept competing every day. So that's pretty much what I'd say about that group.
I know we've kind of talked quite a bit about the trade, but as somebody who has never played in the OHL or any type of hockey like that, where trades, happen, it's got to be a pretty weird experience. Like, where were you when you found out, and kind of how did you find out about it?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I never really experienced trades all that much, but I just woke up in the morning and got a call from my GM, and he asked me to come into the rink, and so that's how I found out. And yeah, I went in and he let me know that it was to here, and I basically got ready to pack my stuff and go. So,
well, we're glad to have you, man. We're glad to have you aboard for the Steelheads and all that kind of stuff. So let me ask you, what do you bring to Mississauga? What do you bring?
I said it in the intermission, I think, just a little bit of calmness. This team, I just looked at I had seen on their board their penalty minutes and whatever else, it's pretty high. So
yeah,
they don't like to take a lot of crap from teams, so which isn't a bad thing, but there's a certain extent that you got to go to, and to win games, you got to kind of keep an even keel at a certain point. And yeah, I think that's a kind of a good dynamic that I'll bring to the Steelheads. So.
And you're more of an all situations guy as well. What's the importance for you to embrace, maybe a PK role if you're called upon for something like that?
I mean, I was used that way in Saginaw too, so it's kind of an easy transition. And yeah, I just try to build trust with James, and hopefully he can trust me in all situations, and yeah, show that I can play in all those spots. It's just kind of a big piece. I feel like if you have a team that you can kind of rely on everybody to do different things, it's kind of it brings the team together, and it ultimately wins you games. So
when you were growing up, who was kind of your favorite player, like somebody that you looked up to in the NHL?
Well, like Patrick Kane, he's American born. It's just pretty easy to root for, so I'd say him probably. And he was winning cups at the time, so that was also helps. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Oh, wow. Patrick Kane.
What about a player comparable? Like, do you think you play like Kane, or is there somebody else you see you kind of play like?
You kind
I
of
don't know
skate
if you
like Dean a
guys,
little bit.
Frederick Gaudreau. I don't know if he plays for Minnesota. He's
That
like
is a good one.
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah, that's a
depth
great
piece.
answer.
I think that's pretty good, pretty close. Anyway.
He's such a smart player, and he's like again relied on the PK. He's two-way. I actually love that comparison because everybody's going to try to go for like that top dog and say they play like them, but I really like that's probably my favorite answer.
Yeah.
Wow, that's well done. Yeah, wow, very good. Yeah, that's a good one because everybody just kind of says the same old, not same old, but the same players, right? So that's amazing. That's a good one. Way to go. Yeah, wow. Like, you know what? I love your game. I love your two-way game. I think you're perfectly suited for this system with James Richmond. How much has you work obviously with Stefan Thorne, the forwards coach? How is working with him? Talk to us about that.
It's been good so far. It's not been too much. He's kind of just letting me get into the system. I'm sure in a couple weeks, if I'm still messing up and doing dumb things, he'll get on me a little bit more. But currently, it's just been just letting me ease into the system. So it's been nice.
Right.
And you'd mentioned a little bit earlier that you'd met Finn Harding at the training camp or the rookie camp with Detroit. So I was just reading a little article there and it said you were working at a summer job when you found out that you were going to Detroit. So kind of what was that situation like? And then how was the camp as a whole?
Yeah, so I was actually I helped build pools in the summers with my buddies. So I was doing that in the morning, and I got a text from my agent that there was a chance that it could be a thing. And then a couple days later, I'd found out that it was confirmed. And then, the camp was awesome. I mean, just like seeing how pros go about their business is pretty sweet. And then, just being at a Detroit camp as a kid growing up watching the Red Wings was always awesome. So, it was pretty special just being around those guys and this how they went about their business was pretty cool.
It's very blue-collar Canadian of you to build pool. I love that.
I know. That's like the first thing, right? Like you see everybody here building pools and all that. Hey, there you go, Dean. You got a little bit of Canadian in you, man.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, right.
He's like, is that a good thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I live close enough there, so.
There you go.
There you go. Were you able to talk to any of the pros when you were at Red Wings camp? Like who'd you have any conversations with?
No, we were kind of separated from them a little bit. We could kind of watch them from afar. So, like, I guess my group wasn't really like talking to any of them. So I didn't really have that many conversations or any memorable ones with any of them. So
great. Anybody else?
You're just pretty calm, cool, collected, Dean. My goodness, I'm very impressed. I'll tell you that right now. So I got to mention this. My buddy. Our buddy Dylan Clark is the director of communication and stuff down there. Great guy, one of my favorites. We keep in touch and stuff like that. He had nothing but good things to say about you. What do you have to say about Dylan Clark?
Dylan's awesome. He fit in right with the guys right when he came in. So he's a good cool dude right away.
He is a good dude. Good. Dylan's good because I think Dylan listens to this, so he's gonna like this.
That's why you asked.
There you go. So a question that we've asked a lot of the players since you're the newest member of the Mississauga Steelheads, like to ask, what type of music do you listen to? I was going to ask somebody, who puts together the warm-up playlist. Obviously, you wouldn't know that. So what kind of music are you going to, whether you're getting pumped up for the game or just in your free time?
In my free time, I'm just a country guy. So I'll listen to like the Zach Bryans and Morgan Wallens of the world right now. So nothing too special or like, anything like that. But the classic country that's going on right now is kind of what I go to. Before games, it's a little different. Turns into rap pretty quick. But those are the two that I listen to the most.
What about food before a game? I don't want to hear Detroit style pizza. If that's the case, you can tell JR off air and deal with him. But what's the go-to meal?
I usually just have a good breakfast, and that's pretty much it for the game, to be honest. So, or for the whole day, doesn't even really matter when the game is. But just eggs, bacon, and toast is pretty standard for my just day of game meal.
You're just a simple guy. I can see that. Simple guy. I think it's great. But last question for me. I totally forgot I was going to. Oh, yes. Okay. So have you watched this podcast before when you're in Saginaw? Not the truth.
I have not.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man. I thought for sure you would have watched this podcast. I mean, this is like the best podcast going out. All right. I was just curious. Well. Now you know.
There you go. Now you know you've been on it. Last one from me, quickly. Just since you've come to Mississauga, who's been a player or players that have really just caught your eye and been like, wow, now that I'm seeing them up close, playing with them, this guy's got a lot of talent.
Well, Misa's an easy answer. Well, you can like when you play against him, you're just like you can see what he kind of like brings, but when you're like as a teammate, I think you can see way more of like how he plays the game. So yeah, I'd say him is pretty standout.
Okay, Dean. Again, welcome to Mississauga. Thank you for taking time here, 20 minutes on your Tuesday night to join us before a roadie up north, which is always, an interesting road trip, especially with a couple of good teams coming up. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll talk to you throughout the year, see you around the rink, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Dean.
Yep.
Okay, Dean Loukus, number 12, newest forward of your Mississauga Steelheads. We'll be back to recap that interview and also talk about where Mississauga ranks amongst the Eastern Conference teams, which many say is wide open. We'll have more coming up after this. This is Sauga 960 AM. You're listening to Trout Talk. And welcome back to Trout Talk here on Sauga 960 AM. Zach Bodenstein, Brendan Lang, Mike Carafalita. So before the break, we just spoke to new overage forward Dean Loukus. And I mean, calm, cool, collected, Mikey said it best. Just simple, slick, cool. Just sit back. This is no big deal kind of guy. And that's a good thing. With a young team, it's nice to have a guy like that, just a calming presence.
Absolutely. I mean, talking to him, calming presence, overager too. I mean, like he's a heart and soul kind of guy. That's what he's been described as he was in Saginaw. He brings that over now to Mississauga. He's already played in 2 games, guys. Unbelievable. And he's looked unbelievable so far in playing in those 2 games. Got an assist his first game. We talked about it already. He played in Brantford. He played well he played really well in Brantford. It's just, a couple of bad bounces, if you ask me. And Mississauga could have won that game easily, right? But anyway, besides that, he played well. And it's nice to have finally the proper pronunciation of his last name. Loukus, not Loukus. That's all I have to say about that. When I hear Loukus, it drives me crazy. Say his last name is Loukus. There's a pronunciation guide, right? There's a pronunciation guide, and it says the pronunciations of the thing. If you don't know the pronunciation of a guy, ask the other person. Correct?
Yeah.
How do you think his family feels? That's the thing. It's Loukus. That's what I like. All right.
There you go.
There's my
Mikey got it all out there. Now
Yes.
Mikey got the name thing off his chest.
Why are you mad?
It's good you
That's
asked
why
him.
I'm mad.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I mean, it's great to see, like you just said. I mean, laid back, and he said, bringing a calming presence to the team, and I think that's huge. I mean, I thought it was really funny when he said, when I saw I was coming to Mississauga, I looked and said, "Oh, they really like to rack up the penalty minutes there." And it's hilarious because we've been saying that all season long. Obviously, they know it. James Richmond knows it, but to bring in a guy who obviously has been around for a while now, being here in Mississauga, and this is 3rd season in the OHL, and now knowing the league and bringing that overage presence maybe will help them. They don't like to back down, obviously, and that's a good thing, like you mentioned, but just kind of not going too far over the top. And I think that he's going to definitely help in that. And then obviously he's going to be able to help on the ice. We talked about that third line, and it looked like it clicked, like they've been playing together for already half the season with Boudreau and Van Volsen up the middle with Loukus on the wing. So, I mean, obviously he's fit in nicely here, and it's just going to keep getting better as the season continues to go on.
And he's a right winger. He might have some more responsibilities
right,
with the Vecchia trade. So let's go back because we started the show talking about obviously football, but then we went into Xander Vecchia going over to the Guelph Storm. I mean, that caught me by surprise, to be honest with you. Like, we were looking at the landscape of the team and seeing Loukus and Vecchia on that right wing slot looked pretty promising, with obviously Martone at the top. So now Loukus is going to be relied upon in a top 6 role, I think, when I'm looking at the roster. And in comes, one of Gabe Sherratt, Will Eggleton, whoever were to sit on that given day. Mikey, how do you see this team going up against other teams in the Eastern Conference? Because, teams have been buying pretty heavy this year in the East. Mississauga hasn't, made that gut punch move, to go all in. But how do you see them matching up?
Yeah, this year, obviously, guys, we all know this isn't the year for Mississauga Steelheads, right? But they are playing well. Who knows? Anything could happen in the playoffs, sitting in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, they haven't done the gut punch yet. Maybe we might see a couple gut punches still. Still might see a couple of gut punches. So I don't think, matching up against North Bay, guys in the division right now. North Bay's tied with the Steelheads right now in the standings. Sudbury Wolves are in 1st place in the Eastern Conference, the same division, Central Division. They're in 1st place. It's tough. And, Sudbury's loading up, right? And North Bay loaded up as well. But how do they match up? Yeah, I think they match up well. They got speed. They got the charisma. They swarm like bees. I've said this many times. And the Steelheads are just like wasps coming out of the, right? It's just like, zzz, zzz. If you get that puck, you got like somebody on you right away, right? And I mean, like, the forecheck is amazing. The defense is good. Why not? Yeah, they could play with anybody, 100%. And they believe they can. And that's the main thing. They think they believe they could beat anybody for this young team. And that's impressive.
Yeah, it's a great point, Mikey, that they really do. And I think the coaching staff believes it as well. And I feel like that's obviously part of the battle. And they've said sometimes, like, maybe they're just too young to really understand that they're not supposed to be this good. And that's a good thing. I mean, I think that's really a positive. And obviously they went out there, maybe they had that kind of feeling at the beginning of the season, but it's turned into they know they can compete with these teams now because they've done it for the entire year. So they know they can do it. And as you mentioned, I think it was maybe before the break or just when we came back, Zach, the East is wide open. And I think Sudbury is going to rise to the top. They're probably going to be that team that stays there. But if you look at a team like Brantford, I mean, they sold off pieces. Van Vliet was out there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Jorian Donovan moved on. So, I mean, who knows? I think, like Mikey said, anything can happen when you come down in the playoffs. And now, as Mikey always says, the real season doesn't start until the new year. So
yes,
time to get it going.
Yes, time to get it going. Definitely. What do you think about that, Bodenstein? I mean, the trade for Donovan, what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think I'm saying North Bay. I don't think Brantford necessarily wanted to sell, but they got offered 8 picks for Jorian Donovan.
How do you say no, right?
Yeah. He's a good player, but you just got offered 8 picks. So what are they going to do? They might do what Saginaw did last year. You sell off Mintyukov for 9 picks, and then it gives you so much luxury the next year. So I feel like, once they did that, okay, let's trade Van Vliet away as well. They made another deal. They traded away Ray. And they got
Sobolev.
So they got a defenseman back. And I mean, they're not. There you go. They traded Janowski as well. So they got Sobolev. They got an overage defenseman in there. I mean, they're kind of retooling. A lot of teams are doing this. They're selling and buying. Windsor, we know the seller, but they've also bought a little bit. Flint, like, they traded Giroux, but at the same time, they traded Gavin Hayes, but they're still bringing pieces back. Like, teams are kind of just on the fly, and you got to look at it like a before and after. Like, what did you give? What did you get? Like a fantasy trade. Like, a lot of teams are kind of doing everything.
Yeah, the Flint. Mikey and I were talking about that before we came on. It kind of seems like they're selling off guys. You mentioned Hayes there, and they're getting picks back, but then they're going and getting Oliver Peer, an overage guy, and they're giving away, I think it was 3 picks for him. So. Just kind of an odd sort of balance there of what they're doing. Obviously, the deadline isn't yet. I think it's noon tomorrow at the time of recording this. So we'll see. I would expect there's still more moves to come. But, yeah, just kind of a sort of a different look that Flint was bringing that I just kind of wasn't expecting.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked at one deal. One deal that really just shocks me looking at all the deals. Now, Barrie trades Anson Thornton to Niagara. That, to me, is a little bit iffy. I don't understand why Niagara would pick him up when you got, well, obviously, now that looks like Owen Flores is probably going to be traded. But Anson Thornton, like, he's a grade A goalie. Like, if you're Well, maybe Niagara's going to turn around and trade him to a contender. I don't know. I mean, but wouldn't you think Anson Thornton would go to contender? That's
right.
my only iffy deal that I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
So,
It's his right for like a conditional 15th, so they could, or they could take the chance on him committing. Like we saw that with other guys too who aren't in the O right now, like Delbel Baluz. His rights got traded to who else but Saginaw for like a 15th rounder. I mean, at some point it's worth the chance, but you're right, they could turn around and flip him. We've seen like 10 million trades in the O over the last few days. Probably going to be more, like Brendan said. Any deal that like stood out to you for any reason? I know Mikey just talked about it, but Brendan, any deal that really jumped out to you for whether it was good or bad?
The one that jumped out to me, and I just mentioned it, but it was the Jordy and Donovan trade. That was the one where I saw it, and it was like I was completely not expecting for them to sell, being in the spot that they're in. And obviously, you guys had mentioned that it's hard to say no. What was it, 7 picks they got back for him? So, I mean, it is difficult to turn that down. Yeah, high picks as well. So, but to me, that was the one, because Brantford, kind of similar to Mississauga, I don't think he thought that they would be at the top of the Eastern Conference when the season started, but they kind of punched above their weight class. So you're like, okay, maybe they are real. And then to move on from Donovan, obviously it shows they're not going to be trying to compete this year. So that was probably the move that jumped out to me the most.
I mean, that's kind of weird because Brantford, they're a year older than Mississauga right now, right?
Yeah.
So now you know what I mean? So like overall team age. And yeah, I'm with you on that, Brendan, 100%. I saw that Jordan Donovan deal. Then I saw the picks and I was like, whoa. But one deal that really jumped out to me, not, but Gavin Hayes, and I mentioned this to you, Brendan off air, and Gavin Hayes goes to the Sioux Greyhounds, right? For Clattenburg. Okay, that's a heart and soul guy. Now he's going to Flint. Kostov, another guy who's been a mainstay over there in the Sioux, and 3 draft picks for one guy, Gavin Hayes. Is that worth it? I kind of like it. I kind of like it for the Sioux. I think Gavin Hayes, he's really going to flourish over there playing with Jack Beck. And they all sorts of offensive superstars over there. But the one guy you're losing in that trade is Clattenburg. I don't know if that might hurt the Sioux maybe down in the playoff run.
I do like that Gavin Hayes gets to play with Travis Hayes. I think that's super cool.
That's the next thing. Excuse me, I forgot about that too. Yeah,
that's cool. After Avery Hayes just won a championship, so who knows? Who knows? We know they're going to be Sioux fans in the Hayes family now, so that's great. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, talking about where teams are, because obviously teams make trades relative to where they are in contention and where they are in the future. And this is a really young team, which is why they didn't go all in this year. We expect next year and the year after to be the years that they really go all in. But Sudbury's losing a lot of guys next year. North Bay's losing a lot of guys. Ottawa, a lot of the teams that have gone heavy in the Eastern Conference are teams that might not be on the same caliber as Mississauga next year. So while Mississauga kind of stayed here and every other team went like that, you might start to see that next year, right, Mikey? I mean, you've been talking about that all year.
Yeah, I mean, this Steelheads team is all going to be back next year. We all know that, right? All those young guys, everybody's going to be back mostly. So gathering picks now. Who knows what's going to happen? Okay, yeah, you get rid of Xander Vecchia. We didn't expect that, but you get a lot of picks there. And James Richmond is one of those things, couldn't say no. How do you say no, right, to that? So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. But this year, let's look at this year. It's still this year. James Richmond mentions that they want to compete to win the Eastern Conference. He still wants to compete to win the East. Yeah, he talks about next year, but this year too. So I'm telling you, watch out for this team when it comes to second half. And everybody's been saying it, that this team is meshing now. Wait till the second half starts. They're going to get even better, especially with the trades now and when everybody meshes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, Mikey. And yes, they're not bringing in any pieces, but also, I mean, you're getting back some guys like Fibiger's going to be back here in a little bit. You're getting Zidlicki, who was playing his best hockey before he went to the World Juniors, played really well there for Czechia, won a bronze medal. Now he's going to be back in the lineup. Possibly another name that might be in there. We don't know if that's happening yet, but there's some guys that there is some movement still, and they were already on the team, but they're just kind of getting healthy now, and they're getting back to that full roster. And also, a lot of the players too came over in deals last year, so this is really their first full season being able to play together. So just continuing to mesh, as you had mentioned right there, Mikey. I think that could be just as good as making trades with this specific roster.
Fibiger will be back, boys, by the way. He'll be back, and he'll be back Against the Sudbury Wolves, that game against Sudbury Wolves on Wednesday. So that game will already be played when this gets aired. So just to say, yes, Fibberger's huge. Sorry, Zach.
No, all good, Brendan. The last thing I want to do before life tips, and then we wrap things up, is to talk about the surges of Jack Van Volsen. Can't stop scoring goals, playing better in every facet of the game. I could go on forever to talk about it, but the results speak for themselves. And Lucas Carmiras, since he came back from injury, both of them huge for this team to turn it around.
It's huge, yeah. And we talked a little bit too, obviously, about the third line there with Boudreau and because Van Volsen is playing so well. Now you look at the center depth, and I mean, it's looking really strong. Like you have McDonnell, you have Misa, who has been playing the wing, but we know he can play center as well. And then since Carmiras has really turned it on here recently, you have him, you have Van Volsen, McGregor Richmond has played actually really well recently too. So the center depth is looking really strong for Mississauga.
Yeah, they look good on the weekend, that's for sure. I mean, Carmiras is nice to come back to Brantford, score a nice goal. To me, I don't know, boys, that didn't look like a kicking motion to me, as everybody says. That's a direction. Correct?
I agree. I completely agree with you, actually. Like, I know they were saying it on the broadcast, and he extended his leg, sure, but he didn't kick it towards the net.
He did not kick it towards the net. Exactly.
No, he did not.
It's a distinct kicking motion, then it's no goal. That was not a distinct kicking motion. That was a right off the skate, direction into the net. So, Lucas Carmiras, great to come back and score in his hometown. Amazing. Congratulations to him. Now, on the weekend, Jack Van Volsen, as you're talking about, it seems like he's revived. Mm-hmm. And what has he talked about? He's talked about watching video more. He's talked about, kind of knuckling down more. And here's the thing about Jack, guys. He was kind of hurt before. Don't forget, right? He's kind of hurt, he's kind of, a little bit down and stuff like that. His game is at another level right now. It's like up here. So if he keeps that going, this is the Jack Van Volsen that we know. This Steelheads team, if they keep it going like this, Dean Loukus gets going, Boudreau gets going, who knows what's going to happen by Sunday? Who else is going to be a part of this team? Look out. That's all I have to say is look out. And this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've talked about all year. Like, let's get Carmiras going. Let's get Van Volsen going. Now they're going. So let's see.
Yeah, Van Volsen has been really good on the power play, but you mentioned it. We were told he's going over video. He's trying to stay in the middle of the ice, just do the little things because he's always been a smart player. But now you're starting to see the results come because he's kind of sticking to that process. So nice to see both of them go. We have a couple minutes here, Brendan. Let's start with some life tips. I know Mikey's usually the guy. Does Brendan Lang have any wisdom for us today?
Oh, man, you're throwing me on the spot here. No, I think just, coming out of the holiday break, I think actually, Zach, you've mentioned it before, but
shave at a regular time.
Sure, you can throw that in there, but take some time off, like the holiday break. Take that time to spend with your family. I think that's really important to do. So obviously it's past now, but it's coming out our first thing here in 2024. I think when you have the opportunities to spend with your friends and your families like that, I think that it's really important that you do that.
Very nice. Well done. I like that a lot. Well, I'm going to echo that. I'm going to say the same thing. Yes, same thing. As long as it's with family and stuff like that, that's all that matters to me. Family's always number one and whatnot. Good to be back with, boys. But my life tip, and I'll say it again, pronounce the last names properly, please. Pronounce the last names properly. If we don't know a last name, what do we do? Zach, what do? We ask.
We someone. Check, yes. We
check. Brendan Lang, we check. But don't say the last name if you don't know, because the parents are going to be watching. That's my advice. So life tip, make the parents happy. Make everybody happy. Go with the last name properly.
All right. Mikey K telling you to check twice, check your work as we were told in middle school, and make sure you're on top of everything. All right, episode 22 of Trout Talk in the books. Coming up next, it's the Mississauga Steelheads and the Sarnia Sting from Paramount Fine Food Center. For Brendan Lang, Mikey K, Mike Karafalides, I'm Zach Bodenstein. So long, and good night.